What should you charge as a photographer? This is a question that I've asked many times, and I know Sam has asked himself loads of times as well. And when I do my own video freelance work, it's another question that I have to ask myself. And there are just so many factors that go into this. And so because of that, I don't have a clean answer. I can't say, okay, well, you're a photographer, you should charge $40 an hour across the board, because maybe you should charge more because you live in San Francisco and you need to pay rent. Or maybe you should charge less because you're just starting out. There's lots of different factors, such as the type of photography you're doing. So are you doing wedding photography, which is very well paid and sort of incredible? Actually, I'm getting married myself right now, and going through the wedding planning process is insane. I wouldn't be able to hire myself as a photographer. So the type of photography. But on the other hand, if you're doing photos for a school or a nonprofit, you might need to charge less. It also depends on your experience. So have you been doing this for 20 years and you're just re-upping your game? And I don't know why you would be watching this course if you've been taking photos for 20 years professionally, but just for the example, if you're doing that, and then you're going to charge a lot more than someone who's straight out of high school or college and just starting out their photography career. It also depends on the customer base. So who are your clients? So this has to do with types, but is your customer base families? Are you doing family portraits, or are you doing advertising or marketing photos for big corporations? The pricing is going to change. And then lastly, the last factor is your competition, which is based on your location. So are there a lot of photographers in your area? This is something you can do by searching on Yelp and Google to see if there's photography companies in your area. And also, it just the different markets pay more for things. So like Los Angeles and San Francisco and New York, people are going to get paid more, even though there are probably a lot more photographers in these areas, but people will get paid more because housing prices are more and food is more, and people get paid a little bit more than if you're in the Midwest or in another country. So those are lots of factors that you have to deal with. But while you're figuring out those factors, the basic thing that you have to ask yourself on how much should you charge as an individual is basically adding up how much do you need to survive and then go from there. So if photography is your full-time gig, then you have to basically figure out how much do I have to pay for room and board, and that includes all your food and toiletries and everything else that you have to pay for in your day-to-day life. But then also you have to come up with an emergency plan. You don't get benefits as a freelance photographer, so it would be good to start planning for the future, saving for a house or retirement or whatever you're doing. And so you have to add that all into whatever your base pay is. And the other thing is that you're not going to be working every day of the week as a freelance photographer, because, well, it's just would be highly unlikely to get that much work. And because of this, your prices are going to be a little bit higher than the average daily salary. So that's something to talk about or explain to your clients if they're wondering about your pricing. So you basically add up all your cost of living, add a little bit for saving and everything else, and go from there. You really have to know when to walk away from a project, because I've been down this road where I just started working on a project and they didn't offer me a lot of money, but I took it just because, and a week into the project, it was just too stressful and the money wasn't even worth it anymore. And so you need to know when to walk away from the money. And I guess it depends on where you are in your career. If you're starting out, you might have to do things for cheap or even free. And we'll talk about finding freelance photography work in the next section, but in the next lesson, that is. But you really have to know when to walk away from a bad deal. So I know that wasn't a clear answer, but I think the reason is because there isn't a clear answer for how much you should charge the photographer. You can always look online though and sort of search around for photography companies in your area, see if they have pricing online, or see if you can reach out to them and pretend to be a client and ask how much they would charge, and go stealth mode. So you could semi-easily find the pricing of photographers in your area, and you should charge a competitive price because you're putting a lot of time and effort into learning these skills, and people have to pay for that. Photography is a skill not everyone can do, and people aren't only paying for your time, but they're paying for the knowledge and creativity that you have ultimately. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any specific questions, please feel free to message Sam or I, and we will get back to you with a better answer. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.